and I am helping to run concessions from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So it's gonna be a little bit of a long night. So this is a system I've been using for about 2.5, 3 years now, and it has worked really, really well for me. I didn't plan to do that. It was not in my lesson plan. I just started interpretive dancing while reading the textbook, and like it ended up being one of the best lessons I've ever done. Good morning, YouTube. I had one of those weekends where I feel like I need another weekend to recover from my weekend because it was just super busy. Both Saturday and Sunday, I did not get home until after 10 o'clock, and that just makes it super hard to be productive. Typically on Saturday nights, I edit my classroom vlog. However, this Saturday I couldn't because when I got home, I had a horrible, horrible migraine. I was not able to do anything. So I still have not posted my vlog, which is a little bit stressful, but I'm gonna try to get it done as quickly as I can this week. And then yesterday, Billy and I left at like 9 a.m. and then did not get home until 10 a.m. We visited his mom and my mom, and that was great, but I just was not able to get a whole lot done. I was lesson planning last night until like 11:30ish. And then our schedule this week is a little bit off because 5th grade is park testing this week. And so we had to switch cultural art time with them. So typically we go to cultural arts from 9:35 to 10:35. But this week, except for Wednesday and then Thursday, we don't have cultural arts. We will be going from 10:35 to 11:35 or something like that. So it's just gonna interrupt our schedule just a little bit. But I am excited because this week we are doing hands-on equations in math, and I will show you what that looks like when we get to school because it is so much fun. I'm so excited for my students. For now, I'm gonna go get me some coffee. So you just saw me put this together. This is for science today. We are going to start talking about weathering and erosion. So for the first day, I'm just doing a demonstration. This is potting soil, sand, and pebbles, just kind of all mixed in together. And I made it into like a hillside kind of. I did the best that I could with this pan, but I'm going to use a spray bottle and spray it with water so that they can see that it starts kind of running off and they can just make observations of what happens. And this will lead into just some discussions and questions that we will use to kind of guide our lessons for the rest of the week. Then I told you for math, we were doing something called hands-on equations. So this is something that my county has purchased for us. I will link it for you down in the description. I don't think this is something you would want to purchase for your class, but you definitely could still make this like work. You maybe could buy just the like instruction manual, and then you could totally make these materials and use other things. But I'm just going to quickly kind of talk you through how it works. It's basically a way to introduce students to algebra and actually have them work through algebraic equations, but doing it in a hands-on, kinesthetic, and visual way that makes it much easier for students to learn and retain. So first of all, in terms of like the materials that the students use, each student has this laminated balance mat, and then they have 8 blue pawns, 4 red number cubes, which 2 of them are 0 through 5, and then 2 of them are 6 through 10. And then it also comes with 8 white pawns and then 4 green number cubes. So these are actually used for the higher levels. Currently with my block 1, I'm starting at level 1 because most of them did not get this last year. And then my block 2, we will be going into level 2, so we will be using the white pawns. But for now, I'm just gonna explain like the basics of it. So hold on, let me sit down. Okay, so these are like the recording sheets. We did lesson 1 today. Everything's like all laid out. It's super easy to follow. So we started, actually the very first thing I did was say, here's a blue pawn. This represents X. It can represent different unknown values. And then on this side, I had the number cube with the 5. And so they got that since the 2 sides have to be equal and balanced, then X equals 5. Then we got into a little bit harder one. So then it goes into 2 pawns and the number 10, like so. So then they figured out that if there's 2 pawns, each pawn would have to be 5. And if they couldn't figure that out, then they just guessed and checked. They tried the number 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, which does not equal 10. Then they tried 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, which does not equal 10, and so on and so on. And they just guess and check. And that's honestly all we really did today was guessing and checking. We set up these different equations. So each time you see this little black triangle, that is a blue pawn, and then these are the number cubes. And so we would figure out what X was, And then we did a check, which is basically where we fill in the number for X. So in this case, 5 and 5 is 10, 10 equals 10. That's what their actual check is. And if the two sides are not equal, then their X is not the right value. As we get into the deeper lessons, it will actually get a little bit more difficult. So for example, if I had this, pawn, pawn 2 equals 10, they're gonna learn different, they're called legal moves, so ways that they can kind of manipulate the equation to make it easier. One of the legal moves they can do is if they have the number 2 here, they can remove that and then take 2 away from this side, so the 10 would become an 8. Then they can figure out that pawn, pawn 8, each pawn has to be 4. Another legal move they can do is if they had something like this. If they have a blue pawn on each side, they can actually take one away from each side, and then now they would see that pawn equals 8. So I'm not gonna go into like too much more detail. That's the basic premise of it, but the lessons get harder and harder. We just did lesson 1 today. Level 1 has a total of 7 lessons, and you can see it ends up being the actual algebraic equations. And what I actually did today is I showed them one of those, and I said, how would you feel if I said, you're gonna be able to do this by the end of next week? And they all thought I was crazy, but they actually are able to do it by using these hands-on manipulative. So hopefully that cleared up a little bit of what like hands-on equations actually is. If you are interested, I will link this for you in the description box so you can get a little bit more information, and then you can purchase like just the instruction manuals, and then you can purchase the materials separately. So this would be something to look into. Maybe if you don't want to buy it, you could do like a donors choose project for it, or take it to your administration. If you teach upper elementary, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and you think that this is something that would benefit your students, especially at the end of the year to kind of prepare them for middle school and working on algebra, definitely bring this to their attention. And then just to quickly kind of talk through how I am storing it. So I have all of their materials in a plastic baggie like this, so they each get a gallon bag. And then I'm just storing 4 at a time in these book bins that I have from Really Good Stuff. So each group of 4 desks gets a book bin, and then it makes it super easy to pass out the needed materials. And then one last thing that I wanted to include, since the entire level 1 is 7 lessons long, I went ahead and just made all 7 copies of all of the classwork sheets that they will need, stapled them together, so they're gonna use this entire packet, and then I will just collect it at the very end. Instead of trying to pass out new papers every single day, which gets super hectic, I went ahead and just made it into a packet for them so they are all ready to go for the entire unit. It is lunchtime. My morning has been productive, but at the same time, I feel like I've not had a chance to catch my breath. I had a huge list of things that I had to get done when I came in this morning. I always just make a list on my phone like the night before. That way when I come in, I can get stuff done right away and I'm just checking it off my list. And I had to get those materials ready for science. I had to get math homework ready for the week, but I actually feel really good because we now have math homework for the rest of the year. There were 4 weeks left, and we're just giving our students these like review pages. So I went ahead and just had my team teacher print out 4 different ones and then make copies of all of those. So we're good for math homework for the week, which is always a really good feeling. I had to get the packets of their recording sheets for their classwork for the hands-on equations. I had to get those ready because our TA was not in until later this morning, so she was not going to be able to make the copies before I needed them, and because of us having to switch our cultural arts time, it just threw everything off. So it's a little bit crazy because of the schedule change, but I have everything from my to-do list done, at least my to-do list from this morning. I already have a new to-do list that I have to write, but it's okay. I'm gonna sit and enjoy my lunch because I'm really, really hungry, and then going outside for recess. I will catch up with you all at the end of the day. I feel like I just kind of need to like decompress right now because I've just been go, 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 but I'm getting stuff done, and that's all that matters. I did have one more teacher appreciation gift today. This was like so perfect on a Monday. Like they nailed it. They have all my favorite things in here. So there are some goldfish, which are my favorite snack. There is a Diet Coke, which I am totally honest, I'm a little bit addicted to Diet Coke, not gonna lie. And then some Reese's miniature cups, and these are the ones with the Reese's Pieces. Love those. And then there are some highlighters, which are so needed this time of year, and some Oreos, which are my favorite cookie to snack on. I've got a super sweet card in here, and then I have some laminating pouch. Oops, there we go. Some laminating pouches from Scotch, which is like literally amazing. It is almost 6 o'clock and I am starving, but I do have good news. Tonight is Chick-fil-A night, which means I have an excuse to go eat Chick-fil-A and have it benefit my school because a portion of all the sales tonight will be donated to my school. So I'm gonna be meeting Billy there in about 10 minutes and I'm excited about that. I'm also excited because I've spent about the last hour and a half making up my PowerPoint slides for these hands-on equations because I have not taught them before, so I don't have anything really prepared. The great thing is the manuals that they come with, I was gonna grab mine, but actually I already put mine in the bag, so I'm sorry, but the manuals do lay everything out for you, so you don't necessarily need to have a PowerPoint, but I personally just teach better when I have a PowerPoint. I do have like a teacher scale that I will be showing in front of the class as I do these. So I don't necessarily have to have a PowerPoint, but for my students in the back who can't necessarily see the teacher scale, because it is kind of tiny, it's bigger than the kids one, but it's still not big enough for the students in the back. That way they can look at the PowerPoint, and I just have it like go through and it's all animated and it's so much easier. Tomorrow during my planning time, if I have time, I will show you what I mean. I have finished it for the level 1, which is great because that means that I have it done for my block 1 for the rest of the week into next week. However, tonight I need to work on the level 2 and getting all of that done for my block 2, because today with block 2 I just kind of reviewed level 1, and then tomorrow I will be starting level 2. So I feel good that I have all of these and I'm getting it done, and then once it's done, and I'll have it next year, which is great. So it's a little bit of work right now, but it's okay. It will benefit me in the long run. And the great news is I actually found some YouTube videos. A teacher went through and modeled lessons 1 through 7, at least for level 1. I need to go back and see if she has them for level 2 as well, but I will link those for you down below, and then you could totally use those with your class. And again, you'll have to figure out like with the materials if you don't have it, but you could use that to be able to teach your students. So if you are interested, those will be down in the description box for you. I'm just smiling and I feel like I'm bubbly, and you all probably think I'm being really annoying, but I just feel good. I feel like I'm being productive. I'm getting stuff done. I've got my checklist that I'm taking home with me tonight. I don't know if I'll get my vlog edited from last week, but I at least will get stuff done for my classroom for this week, which is good. But for now, I'm gonna go eat me some Chick-fil-A, and I will catch up with you all in the morning.
Still has a little.
Good morning, YouTube. It's a funny story. I brought my camera with me to Chick-fil-A last night, meaning to film my meal, and then all of a sudden I looked out, I was like, I ate the whole thing and I forgot to film it. And it literally happens to me all the time. I am still in a pretty good mood. I was productive last night. I did not finish everything from my to-do list. But you know, sometimes you make to-do lists and you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get all this done, but I'm gonna write it down anyway. Last night was one of those nights. So once I got home from Chick-fil-A, I just started working, and I'm like, I'm gonna just sit here and I'm gonna bang out as much from my to-do list as I can. I started with the smaller tasks that I knew I could definitely get accomplished, things like writing a thank you note. I had to print out a couple of papers for science. Then I went on to the bigger tasks like laminating and cutting stuff for science. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, however much planning I can get done with the time that's left is great. You know, I'll just see how much I can do. So I did not get a ton done. I have the entire unit done for my block 1 math class, and I told you that yesterday. My goal was to finish the entire unit 2, like the level 2, for my block 2 last night. That did not happen. I just got lesson 1 done, but it's okay. I'll have my planning time today, so I'll have like a good hour that I could get stuff done. But overall, I'm happy with everything that I got accomplished. I feel like I'm slowly checking things off, trying to get things done for the rest of the year. Tomorrow is my appointment to get my eyebrows microbladed right after school. I'm so excited about that. I need it so desperately, so it's a good week. It is now my lunchtime. I did not vlog at all during my planning time because I was trying to be as productive as possible. I made myself a new to-do list for today. I added a couple of things. I still have on there that I want to finish the level 2 PowerPoint for math, and then I want to finish my science PowerPoint. Whether or not I get them done today, I don't know if I will, but I'm gonna try. However, during my planning time, I did get the next 2 lessons of the level 2 hands-on equations done for the PowerPoint. So I think I only have like 5 left. I hopefully should be able to knock that out tonight. I also got an exit ticket that my students did during block 1 graded and put in the grade book, so I feel good about that. I will have one in my block 2 today, so I'm gonna try to get that put in before I leave as well. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and just enjoy my lunch, and then we're going outside. It's super hot today. It's like 90 degrees. And then after school, I am actually going to run with our hero boys. So we have Girls on the Run, which I'm a coach for, but that is strictly for girls. We started a new program probably about 2 months ago called Hero Boys. It's somewhat similar. The boys train for a 5K. It's not quite the same as Girls on the Run, but it's called Hero Boys. I can't remember what Hero stands for, but I think it stands for something. Today they are doing like a practice race because their 5K is next week, and I told them that I would help out and kind of run with them. So I will be doing that after school, so I probably won't catch up with you until after that. So this just cracked me up. This is like the big teacher scale that I have for the hands-on equations, and my students know me so well. I don't know who did it, but one of my students just sat there and like organized all the pawns. So these are the white pawns, the red number cubes, and the blue pawns. I had it back here at the table because I was working with a small group. Typically this scale, I actually have it up here in front of my class, like on a desk, so my students can see it displayed, and like it's kind of been a hot mess. I'm trying to figure out a good way to organize it, but I have not figured that out yet. I just thought it was hilarious that my students like took the time to sit there and organize it because they knew it would make me happy. Also, just an organizational side note, I told you that I was keeping all of my student bags back here in bins, and originally I was telling my students like, okay, your group goes and gets the first pink bin and your group goes and gets the second pink bin, and I don't know why I was even thinking that was a good idea. So I went ahead and numbered them just 1 through 8. So each little section of the 4 desks is now assigned one of the numbers, and I've taught my students that as soon as they come in, one student from that group is responsible for coming back and getting the bucket. But tonight I'm going to try to make some labels for these buckets and just have them labeled 1 through 8, because goodness knows these sticky notes are not going to last for 2 weeks. I am a hot, sweaty mess because it was 90 degrees outside and we ran 2 miles, but I'm hopefully getting a little bit of a suntan because I'm like super pale and I need summer and sun very badly. But I feel good. It's about 6 o'clock now. After I came in from helping out at the Hero Boys, I had to grade some papers from today. So I had an exit ticket during block 2 for math, and then I had a science exit ticket for both block 1 and block 2. I got those graded, got them put in the grade book, and y'all, it is May. And it's like halfway through May, and I'm still finding out new things about this gradebook because it's a different system than the gradebook I previously used. Previously, I used the system called X2, and now we are using PowerSchool gradebook. And I do think I like PowerSchool better, but I'm still trying to learn like tips and tricks. And it used to be that if I had an assignment that I gave both to block 1 and block 2, I would separately put in the assignment into my block 1 like gradebook and then my block 2 gradebook. Today, I realized you can just copy the assignment and then paste it into the other one instead of making a whole new assignment. I also have some grades that are like computation grades that also go in as problem solving because we have 2 different categories for math, and some of the grades kind of overlap, like it's both computation and problem solving. And I previously, again, was like inputting the grades 2 different times. No, I can literally copy and paste the grades from one to the other. So I feel a little bit silly, but at the same time, I'm happy that I've now discovered that. So I have my to-do list of stuff I'm gonna try to get done tonight. Billy and I are gonna head to the gym. We're gonna get a bite to eat. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna be as productive as I can. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna have to leave school right after school because I'm getting my eyebrows done. I'm so excited. Like, I cannot wait. And tomorrow morning / like into the day is the last day that I have to deal with. Like right now, because I've been growing out my eyebrows, they've just been like caterpillars on my forehead and it's been driving me crazy. So I cannot wait for that to finally be done. And like overall, I just feel like I'm having a really good week. It's a little bit hectic. Like I can tell that my students, now that they're done with their testing, like their behavior is starting to slide downhill a little bit, but I'm trying to like reel them back in, keep them engaged. Oh, speaking of being engaged. Okay. So during my block 2, I just spontaneously decided we had to read from our science textbook, and it's not the most engaging thing. Like it's a pretty boring textbook, and I hate reading from textbooks, but like sometimes you have to get the information. And I started reading it to like my block 2, and I'm like, okay, this is really boring. And if I'm bored, I know my students are bored. So one of my students, because they know that I'm like theatrical and I love to like use accents and all that. So one of my students goes, "Miss Ferré, I'm surprised you're not interpretive dancing while you read this," because I was reading it like really dramatically, and they're like, "You should make an interpretive dance to go with it." So I said, you know what? I accept that challenge, and I went up to the front of the room, and I did. I read the textbook while doing like hand motions and like interpretive dance stuff, but actually it was amazing because even though I was doing it somewhat just to be silly and kind of keep my students engaged, it actually ended up being even better than I thought because it gave my students like a kinesthetic way to learn the material. Because my students, I didn't even tell them, they just started standing up and doing it with me. So I had different hand motions to represent like weathering and to represent erosion and to represent all the different vocabulary words. Like it actually worked really well, and it was just such a fun moment. Like my kids were into it, and like I love that. And how often when you're reading from a textbook are your kids actually paying attention? Not very often, if we're gonna be completely honest, but like they were so into it. And it just goes to show you that sometimes those spontaneous things are like the best things. I didn't plan to do that. It was not in my lesson plan. I just started interpretive dancing while reading the textbook, and like it ended up being one of the best lessons I've ever done. It was so much fun for me and my students. And I will say that things like that get easier the longer you've been teaching. I'm in my 4th year. I didn't do a ton of that my first year because I was still trying to figure out my teaching style and still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and that's okay. And honestly, my first year I didn't really think of doing things like that. And it wasn't until after teaching for a couple years where like I realized, oh hey, I can do stuff like this, and not only only is it going to engage my students, but it's also going to help them learn the material. It's going to stick the information in their mind, because now anytime they think of weathering, they're thinking of like, what was Miss Ferré doing? So I just wanted to tell you all about that because I thought it was really fun. And you know, if you're ever having one of those days where you have to read from a textbook or you have to do something boring, you can make it fun. Just don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. You know, I am not that kind of person. Like in public, I'm actually very reserved, but around my students, like I can be so ridiculous and I love it. That's one of my favorite things about being a teacher, the fact that I can just be completely myself and my kiddos love me for it. Like it's an amazing feeling. So if you have never done that, I recommend you try it. I am gonna get out of here. I'm gonna stop talking to you all and I will catch up with you in the morning. Good morning, YouTube. Last night I was super productive, and again, I'm just so proud of myself. Like my whole making a to-do list and then working on it throughout the day, and whatever I don't get finished, doing it at home has been working so well for me lately. I had to write like another thank you card, and I had a couple small things that I had to do, but I did sit down and finish the level 2 hands-on equations PowerPoint that I've kind of had on my to-do list for the past several days. So I now have math planning done for the rest of this week and all of next week, which is a phenomenal feeling. I also had to download the hands-on equation app to my iPad. So I'll show you that maybe once I get to school if I have time, but that will be one of the early finisher options for my students. I do have a set of 5 iPads that I got from Donors Choose, and they have apps for hands-on equations, both level 1 and level 2, and I downloaded those last night. I also inserted my students' names, that way they can get on and work on their specific like account basically, so that other students won't move ahead of where they are and all that good stuff. Today is a day that I'm getting my eyebrows microbladed and I'm just so excited, but one of the bad things is I'm not allowed to have caffeine today, which kind of stinks, but I made myself a protein shake. It's okay. I did get up extra early this morning and I actually showered this morning. Typically I shower at night, but I don't think I'm gonna shower tonight like I usually do, which is probably gross, and I'm not gonna shower like tomorrow because I can't get them wet. So I wanted to shower this morning so that I showered as close to my appointment time as possible, but I will have new eyebrows and I'm so excited. So I mentioned to you that the hands-on equations has an app. Now there is a free app for level 1, but I think it only has like part of the app that you get for free. And then these ones are actually paid apps, but to me, like it's totally worth it. I don't mind paying it because it will be an early finisher option for my students. So the hands-on one was, I don't know, I think it was like $2.99, and then the hands-on 2 was $3.99. So once you go into the app, the cool thing is there's like a whole little video on here about what is hands-on equations, and then when you actually want to start, you go to menu of lesson, and then this is where I actually inserted my student names. I'm just keeping them covered for now, but you can also go to create new user, and for example, I could put in my name like so, and then I hit OK, and then this is what the screen actually looks like. So for each lesson, there's like a video that basically teaches it to them, and then they have practice, and then they have like the exercises. So they have to start here with the first video, they watch the whole video through, and you can see it just kind of goes through and explains it to them, and then they can go to continue to the lesson, and this is some of the practice stuff, and I cannot figure out why it's doing this, like why these are down here instead of up here, but regardless, I will explain that to my students, and they can work their way through all of this. So it's a pretty nifty app, honestly. Like the way that it's laid out is super user friendly, and this will just be a great way for my students to get additional practice while we work on these. I did find a little solution for my large hands-on equation material. So I showed you this yesterday, that I have the big balance that stays up in the front of the room, and my pieces were just all over the place. So I found this little plastic container. It's just split into 3 parts. I think I got this at Target, like the dollar spot a while ago, but I think I've seen similar things at Dollar Tree. So one of them holds the white pawns, one of them holds my number cubes, and one of them holds my blue pawns. Really quickly, I did want to show you this little like mini science lab we are doing today. We've been talking about like weathering and erosion and all of that. So we kind of did some reading yesterday, which I told you about. And today we are doing this quick lab. So it's called Scratch Scratch. Basically, you have 2 different ice cubes, one that's just pure water and the other one that's contaminated. So like sand, gravel. I did not have any of that. So I actually went for mulch just because I remembered at like 11 o'clock last night and I was like, oh shoot, I need these ice cubes. And of course, I do not have ice cube trays at home. We have an ice maker. So I found these like little sauce containers that I had at home, and I just used these to create the ice cubes. But this one just has pure water, and then this one has the mulch in it, just because that's what was outside of my door. I had to go out in a thunderstorm, get some mulch. But basically, we actually started with rubbing it on wax paper. So my students made observations of what happened, and that was really cool because you could hear that the plain ice cube didn't make any noise, whereas the contaminated one made like a scratching sound, because you could actually hear the mulch scratching against the wax paper, and it actually did like make scratches in the wax paper, and it actually kind of like tore it in places. Then they are observing it melting. So I have these two different containers. This one has just the plain ice cube, and then this one has a contaminated one. So we did the first like 8 minutes before lunch, and my students just jotted down some notes, and then when they come back in from recess, we will do the final observation. So it'll be longer than 10 minutes, but I want them to be able to see like when it's mostly melted, and then they'll be answering this question reflecting on how this experiment tells us about the way that glaciers affect the shape of the earth, and I have a video that I am showing them on Discovery Education that goes with it as well. It is my lunchtime, and this morning before my kids came in, we did have a CDM meeting, and then during my planning time I had to meet with my team teacher, so I did not really have like my own planning time today. However, somehow I have managed to be super productive. So this morning our CDM meeting only took about half the time, so I had about 20 minutes after that to get stuff done. So I have finished the science PowerPoint for the rest of the year. I had like 3 lessons that I had to finish, but I got those done, so I feel good about that. Science is done. My team teacher planned social studies, so science and social studies will be done for me for the rest of the year. Then I did have guidance during my block 1, and during that time, our counselor actually uses like my computer, so I did not have access to it. However, I have 3 like desktop computers in the back of my room, so I hopped on one of those. We have something called articulation cards, which I did this at my old school too. Basically, we have to go in, it's a card that stays in the kids like permanent record, and we have to write like the school year, our name, we have to put all of their like assessment scores. So I got that done for all of my cards, so I am just feeling so good right now, especially because I cannot stay late today. I have to leave right after school, so I was worried about not getting stuff done, but I feel really productive. I'm checking stuff off my to-do list, and like this is the best week ever in terms of productivity. So I came home to a very unexpected but amazing package, and I wanted to share this all with you. If you remember in, I think it was my last mail haul, I shared this desk organization supplies that I had gotten from Easy to Buy USA. They just sent it to me, wanted me to review it, and I shared with all of you my honest thoughts, and I told you that it was super, super high quality. I'm still using some of the organizers in my classroom today, and like I love them. And today I came home to a very just unexpected package. They actually sent me all of these plastic clipboards, and it gets better, hold on. But they sent me these new clipboards. I guess it's a new product that they are featuring. So these are the ACRIMET plastic clipboards. I will link them for you down below. They come in tons of different colors. They sent them to me in yellow, green, and red. And they literally just sent this to me as like a thank you for me featuring their stuff in my last mail haul, which I thought was just super kind and thoughtful of them, because I just gave my honest opinion on everything they sent me. And I will say all of it is super high quality. Like these clipboards are a really thick, high quality plastic. I'm gonna try to pull one out. There we go, so I can show you. So the top part up here just has like your basic clip, like so, and then this part is just a super thick plastic. I can't bend it at all. One thing I do really, really like about these clipboards, it's kind of hard to see with my lighting, but you can kind of see it there. There actually is a ruler along the side, which I really like, because then my students could even use this not only as a clipboard, but as a ruler, and they wouldn't have to get out a separate ruler. So I'm really happy just with the quality of these, and I told you it gets better. So not only did they include these colored clipboards, but in each package there are 2 of these white clipboards, and let me show you, they literally put my logo on the bottom of these clipboards, just the white one. So I have 6 of these with my logo, and I'm like in shock. I just thought that that was so kind and thoughtful of them, and like I'm going to use these clipboards for everything. I just think that that's so cool. And you would think that I would put my logo on like a bunch of stuff, but I honestly haven't. So having like a company do this for me, I just thought was so amazing, and I cannot wait to use these. So again, the website is Easy to Buy USA. I will link the general website down below, and then I also will link the clipboards down below. And as an added bonus, they told me that these clipboards are actually going to be on sale 10% off when you use code SAVE10 until June 1st. So if you are interested in grabbing these, I would go ahead and do it within the next week or so, because they are going to be on sale 10% off, and I will put that code down in the description box and on the screen as well. So thank Thank you again, Easy to Buy USA. I am so in love with these clipboards, especially the ones with my logo. I cannot wait to use them with my students. I know that these are gonna hold up for several years based on how thick the plastic is. And I also love this because I have had clipboards where it's like a brown clipboard. You know what I'm talking about, like the general clipboards, and my students get marker all over them and it drives me crazy. But what I love about this plastic is, especially like if they get dry erase marker on it, it would wipe right off. And other marker, I could actually clean it off and just keep these clipboards looking fresh and new. So thank you so much. I so appreciate just your amazing customer service. Compared to a lot of companies, like, you all really go above and beyond, and especially as a teacher, I just appreciate that so much. Good morning, YouTube. I did not vlog at the end of the day yesterday because I was kind of in a rush to leave and get to my appointment, but I now have my new eyebrows and honestly, I really love them. The lady that I had is amazing. She's been doing this for like 18 years. She does the eyebrows for the Redskins cheerleaders. Like, she is amazing. It was expensive, but she is amazing. They are still healing, so there's like a healing process where basically the first couple days they're kind of a little bit darker than they will be normally, and then they start to kind of peel, and then they fade, and then I go back for a touch-up June 16th, 1 month from my original appointment. So you won't really see the finished product until like June, but that's okay. It is so much better than what I was dealing with. I cannot get coffee though. In my like aftercare instructions, it says that I have to avoid caffeine for a couple of days, and I'm like, oh, but it's okay. I have a protein shake and I know it's probably better for me anyway. I'm gonna get to school. I don't really have anything I have to get done this morning. I do need to find some kind of a planning sheet for my students who are not making paw printers stories. So paw printers is something that our school does where basically our students get to write a book. So they submit a story and then that story is actually put into like a hardback book. And today is illustration day. So we have volunteers coming in and they're gonna help our students make their illustrations. But I have a handful of students. I think I have like 11 students who did not do a paw printers book, which means they have nothing to do today. So I'll show you what I'm having them do when I get to school, but I need to find a planning sheet for them. And then I do not have cultural arts, but I'm keeping my homeroom class until lunch. All morning we're gonna work on our paw printer story, and then we're just having like hour blocks in the afternoon. It is now lunchtime, so all morning we've just been working on our paw printer stories, which has been really fun. I've enjoyed just like seeing my kids' stories and seeing them be creative and work on them. It's been awesome. And then we'll have like hour-ish blocks in the afternoon. So that means I probably won't be able to get to science or social studies. I'll just do math in both of my blocks, which is okay, I guess. But like my room right now is so hot and like humid and sticky and I just feel gross. And then we're having indoor recess for the second time in a row. Yesterday we had indoor recess because it was raining. And of course yesterday was my day to stay in, so I didn't get to have like that time to myself to get stuff done, but it's okay. We're gonna be inside again today, but it's actually going to be with our homeroom classes, and I really like my homeroom during indoor recess. Like, they just play together really nicely, so that's not so bad. We don't have Chromebooks though. Usually we have about 7 Chromebooks per class that kids can get on, but because of testing we don't. So I'm going to eat my lunch, and then if I have to finish it during recess time I can. But overall, like, my room's pretty neat. I'm feeling good about things, so I'm not too stressed out right now. Knowing that my plans are done through the end of next week is just the biggest relief ever. I apologize because the fan is on, but I had shown you that I had sticky notes labeling these bins 1 through 8. So I did make up some labels last night, printed and labeled them, and then I taped them on this morning. It is the end of the day. It's about 4:20. I actually took the past like 15-20 minutes and I was grading the science lab that my students did yesterday because I'm trying to get that put in as a science grade. I graded block 1 and I'm like, okay, it's 4:20. I can either stay for another like 20 minutes because my block 2 has more students, so it takes longer, and get block 2 graded and get it put in the grade book, or I can go ahead and leave now, which if I leave now, I can probably make it to my P.O. box before it closes because my post office, like, their hours, they're only open until like 4:45-ish. It says 5 o'clock, but sometimes I go at like 4:45 and they are closed. So it's really difficult for me to check my P.O. box. And as a result, I've only been checking it like once a month. So I kind of want to go there. And I think that's what I just decided in my head that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and leave now, which means I only graded one block of the science lab sheets. However, I thought about it, like I have time tomorrow morning, I have time during my planning time, and since I have everything done for all of next week, I won't have to actually plan, so I can spend that time grading, which means I don't have to stay after school to do it. And as much as the end of the year is very hectic and chaotic and the kids are burnt out and we're tired and all that stuff, at the same time I love being able to like get ahead, and I think it's easier for me at the end of the year than earlier on, because earlier on, like getting ahead, I'm like, well then I just have to get ahead again and again and again, whereas at the end of the school year, like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and if I know I only have 4 weeks left, then if I get those 4 weeks done of planning, then I'm completely done. So I feel good that like I'm ahead, but I don't need to sit here and stay after school for like an hour to grade these assignments, because I can actually do it during my planning time. So I'm gonna get out of here. The weather is so gross out, it's just rainy and icky, so I think Billy and I may order pizza tonight, and then we are gonna have a night of Netflix watching, and I will catch up with you all tomorrow morning for Friday. Good morning, YouTube. So last night ended up being kind of a weird night. I didn't really have anything that I had to do for school, so I was planning on spending the night eating pizza, watching Netflix, and getting my vlog from last week edited. That did not happen, but in my defense, totally not my fault. We lost power for like a good solid 2 hours, and it was very unexpected. Literally, as I grabbed the remote to turn on Netflix, the power went out, and I was like, you've gotta be kidding me. So Billy and I ate our pizza. The problem was my laptop had not been plugged in, so it was like basically dead, so I couldn't edit anything. Him and I went for a drive to kind of see like what area was out, and it was weird because it was just like our side of like the main road that was out. But then I ended up kind of taking a nap because I had nothing else to do, and then the power came back on, but like when I woke up it was already like 9 o'clock. I was super groggy, so I did not get editing done, but it is what it is. I'm gonna head to school this morning. Again, I cannot get coffee because I have to avoid caffeine for a couple of days, but I am going to get to school. I'm gonna grade that other assignment from yesterday that I did not grade, and I have a couple of other small things that I've got to get done, but I have time before my kids come in, and I have planning time, and then I am going to be staying pretty late tonight, but I'll explain that to you all later. Because I have some spare time, I just finished grading that extra assignment that I had from yesterday, and now I have about a half an hour until my kids come in. So these are books that I've kind of had that I've needed to get labeled before I put them in my classroom library. So these are just going to be labeled as chapter books. This will be labeled as Star Wars, and then this will be labeled as science. So I wanted to quickly show you how I do my library labeling system, which if you have been following me for a while, I'm sure you've seen this, but I haven't really talked about it a whole lot this school year. So if you are a newer subscriber, I just wanted to kind of show you. First of all of my books have a label on it. Oh, the glare is not good. Okay, there we go. So for chapter books, I identify those just with like this little book label. Now these are just paper. I punch them out with a circle punch, and then all I do is use clear tape, like transparent tape, and I tape it up in the corner of the book. So I have different symbols for my different categories. So I have chapter books. Here is like my Star Wars with the stormtrooper sign, and then I have science. So I have this entire like basket. These are all my extra labels that I don't have bins for, but I have all of them just like in little baggies. So it's probably not the best system ever, but I have them all just labeled with Sharpies. So like anytime I have a new science book, I come in, I get the science bag, I get a little paper symbol, and I tape it up in the corner. And then as you will see in my library, all of my book bin labels have that exact same symbol on them. So that way my students can match the symbol to the label, and they can make sure that they get it put in the correct bin. So this is a system I've been using for about 2.5, 3 years now, and it has worked really, really well for me. I do have a student who is assigned as my librarian, so they come through every couple days and they check all the books, make sure they are in the correct spot, but honestly, they don't even have to do that much. Because of the label system that I have, my students are pretty good about putting the books away where they go. So if you are interested in this, I will link it for you down in the description box. My library labels pack comes with all of these labels, and then it also comes with all of the symbols that you will tape or glue up in the corner. corner. Now I will tell you that it is not editable, so you'll have to look at like what my options are for labels. I am pretty good about if someone emails me, like I will make them custom labels if I need to. I'm a little bit backed up right now, but I do try to like make labels for people if they need them, but you are not actually able to edit the labels yourself. I need to go back in and like revamp this product, so eventually I probably will make it editable, but just know for now you're stuck with what I have already created. But I do have a lot of different options, and personally what I do is any books that do not fit into the categories, I just group them together as chapter books. And yeah, I need to have my librarians come through this morning and fix it, because that does not go there. That goes in the Black Lagoon books bin, which is up here, but whatever, you get the point. Any books that don't fit into the categories, I just group them together as like regular old chapter books. It is now my planning time, which is later than usual because of our whole schedule change this week, but thank goodness we go back to our regular schedule next week. I've been really productive this morning because I did not have anything to get done this morning. I got that little bit of grading done. I was able to label those books. I also had some extra name symmetry projects that I needed to hang up in the hallway. We did put them up in the bulletin board by the front office, but we had some extra ones, so I hung them right outside of my room in the hallway, and that is all done. So now let me kind of show you. This whole area is like nice and clear, which it has not been for a very long time. I've always had like piles of stuff up there. So I feel really good. I do have a check for understanding that my block 1 did during math this morning, so I need to grade that, get that put in the grade book. I have a couple of things to prep for science, and then I am good to go. I am doing a lunch bunch today with 2 of my boys, so I will not be able to catch up with you until the end of the day. It is now after school, and I am tired. I'm not going to lie. It's actually about 5 o'clock. I've spent the past like 50 minutes or so. I had to take some pictures and things in my classroom, but I have some grades that I need to quickly enter in. I do have a science paper from today, but I don't think I'm gonna get that graded because I actually need to head down to the cafeteria. So we have like a PTA event tonight. We are doing these rock paintings, which are students each decorated their own rock during art, but now their families have an opportunity to decorate a rock as well, and then they're all gonna go out in the garden outside of our school. So I'm going and helping with the rock painting. Then we have movie night, so our students come and they sit in the gym and they watch a movie, and we sell concessions, and I am helping to run concessions from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So it's gonna be a little bit of a long night. I'm kind of hungry because I have not eaten, so I'm gonna try to see if I can find something to eat, but I'm excited because I do love seeing my students at these kinds of events and just getting to hang out with them outside of school and all that. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this vlog because my mind is like a million places right now and I'm thinking of everything I need to go do. So if you enjoyed this vlog, please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy my new eyebrows, because now I finally will not have people constantly commenting on my videos telling me how horrible they are. Give the video a thumbs up. It actually didn't bother me that much, but it's just like, why do people feel the need to do that? I don't get it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you for watching. I love you all so much. Don't forget to think positive, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video and for supporting my YouTube channel. If you want to check out any of my older videos, you can use the 2 links right down here. If you want to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, you can use the link right up here. In the description box, you'll find links for my Teachers Pay Teachers store along with my PO address if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.